Before football became a video game, FIFA turned it into a second reality. For millions of players, the stadium was not a place they visited. It was a screen in a bedroom, a living room, or a late-night session with friends. The game promised something simple: choose a team, step onto the pitch, and control the outcome. But over time, that promise became much larger. FIFA games began to mirror the culture, business, and pressures surrounding real football. They changed how fans argued, competed, collected players, and even understood the sport. This is the story of how a digital football game became one of gaming's most powerful global institutions. The early versions were far from realistic. Players looked stiff. The ball moved strangely. The commentary was limited, and a powerful computer could not hide the game's rough edges. Yet the foundation was already there. FIFA gave players control over the moments they usually watched from the stands. A child could play as a favorite club. Friends could settle arguments on the virtual pitch. Entire seasons could be imagined in a single afternoon. What mattered was not perfect detail. It was access. The game put the world's biggest sport into the hands of anyone with a console. That simple idea created a habit that would survive every technical limitation. Then the details began to matter. Real clubs. Real kits. Real stadiums. Real players with recognizable faces and distinct abilities. Licensing transformed FIFA from a generic football game into an interactive version of the sport people already loved. The difference was psychological. You were no longer controlling a collection of digital athletes. You were controlling your club. Every match carried an identity. Every defeat felt personal. Every transfer became a statement. The game understood that football is not only about rules and scores. It is about loyalty, memory, rivalry, and belonging. FIFA did not invent those emotions. It gave them a controller. For years, career mode was the heart of the experience. You could build a team, develop young players, negotiate transfers, and guide a struggling club toward glory. It felt like management, storytelling, and competition at the same time. But the center of gravity eventually moved online. Ultimate Team allowed players to assemble squads using collectible cards. The dream was irresistible: combine legends, stars, and unknown talents into one impossible lineup. Matches became more than matches. They became tests of strategy, patience, and investment. The question was no longer simply, can you win? It became, how much can you build? That change created FIFA's most successful system and its most difficult debate. Ultimate Team offered constant goals. New cards. New events. New challenges. New reasons to return tomorrow. For some players, it was harmless competition and a creative way to build a squad. For others, the system felt designed to encourage repeated spending, especially when the strongest rewards seemed just out of reach. The argument was never only about football. It was about probability, psychology, and the line between collecting and gambling. FIFA had become a service that was always running. And when a game never really ends, the pressure to keep up can become part of the design. Outside the controversy, FIFA became a social language. Players learned the same celebrations. They recognized the same tactics. They shared goals, arguments, glitches, and moments of unbelievable luck. Online matches connected people who might never meet in real life. A player in one country could compete against someone on the other side of the world in seconds. The game also became a stage for creators, streamers, and professional competitors. Football was no longer limited to television broadcasts or physical stadiums. It existed in clips, live streams, rankings, and digital rivalries. FIFA helped turn ordinary gaming sessions into public performances. But success created a problem. FIFA was no longer just a game released once a year. It was an ecosystem with expectations. Players wanted better graphics, smarter opponents, fairer matchmaking, deeper career modes, and constant online content. The publisher wanted growth. Fans wanted authenticity. Competitive players wanted balance. Casual players wanted fun. Those demands did not always point in the same direction. A feature that kept one audience engaged could frustrate another. A realistic change could make the game less enjoyable. A profitable system could damage trust. The more important FIFA became, the harder it was to satisfy the people who made it matter. Then the name itself changed. After decades of annual releases, the FIFA label disappeared from the cover. The football game continued under a new identity, EA Sports FC. The players, clubs, and familiar structure remained, but the separation carried symbolic weight. FIFA had become bigger than a title. It was a ritual, a rivalry, and a shared memory for multiple generations. Changing the name could not erase that history. It revealed something more important. In modern gaming, a brand is not just a logo. It is a promise built through years of habit. And whether players call it FIFA or something else, they are still returning to the same question: can the next match feel real? FIFA games survived because they understood the emotional engine of football. The anticipation before kickoff. The anger after a late goal. The relief of a last-minute winner. The quiet satisfaction of building something that finally works. No simulation can reproduce the real sport completely. That was never the point. The point was to let people enter the feeling whenever they wanted. In doing so, FIFA became more than a football game. It became a mirror of fandom itself, competitive, nostalgic, commercial, unpredictable, and impossible to ignore. The screen was never the stadium. But for millions of players, it was close enough.